Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Mon nom est Gareth et capitaine Stiff de F3 et bienvenue à Montréal, Québec, Canada pour le Grand Prix canadien au circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And if you don't speak broken French, yes, hello, good evening and welcome everyone to the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship at the Montreal, or beautiful Montreal in Canada, for the Canadian Grand Prix. My name is Gareth, otherwise known as Captain Stiff. You can catch me in the F3 League on Wednesday night. And welcome to my favourite track on the F1 calendar. So it's like I said before, beautiful Canada, beautiful Montreal. It's a wonderful part of the world. French Canada, half French, half English speaking. If you haven't been, you really need to. It's absolutely wonderful part of the world to go to. The F1 is a rich tradition in Canada, stretching back to 1967, where the country hosted its first round of the Formula One World Championship. It was held at Mossport Park in Ontario, which it held there for 8 races before it went on to Circuit Mont-Tremblant, which held for 2 before safety concerns saw the event move to its 1978, or moved from in 1978 to its now and current home in Montreal. Originally called Circuit Ile Notre Dame after the island that it was built on and where it's located, the track was renamed in 1982 after the tragic death of homegrown talent Gilles Villeneuve, who won the inaugural race here in 1978 in the Ferrari. Of course, his son Jacques went on to be world champion in 1997, but unfortunately could only manage second here on his debut in Formula One in the Williams. We have a grid tonight of 12 drivers, and they will be going out on by the looks of it, all on the ultra soft tyres. It's a very quick lap round here. We're looking for around, probably going to be around 1 minute, pushing a high 1 minute 10 possibly. Some of the guys were doing up until about 1 minute 13s for some of the guys lower down. So it's a very quick track. There's a lot of very speedy, as you can see here as we're on board with Chilnilly, and a lot of quick chicanes that can catch drivers out, and corner cutting penalties and track extensions here are going to be the bane of their lives. So you may see today a lot of penalties when it comes to extension, especially when it comes to the last chicane, which is right at the end of the lap after a long straight. Goes straight into a very quick chicane, very easy to be on the right hand side. So we go distance down to turn 1 here. It's 260 metres, that's just over 0.1 of a mile. Second shortest run down to turn 1 of the season. Its longest straight, as Chills are just going on now, is 1.16 kilometres, that's 0.7 of a mile. On the approach to turn 12, which is with the longest straight of the season being in China, which we were in previously just before the season break. Top speed the guys will hit around is about 335 kilometres an hour. It's around 208 miles an hour. They'll reach that along that long straight before turn 12, and full throttle around 67% of the lap. So quite a decent percentage of this lap is spent at full throttle. It's getting that downshift down into these chicanes as Chill's doing there, throwing the car in through the chicane quite nicely there. Kisses the curb on the corner there. Don't want to get running up wide like Brendan Hartley did a few races going from as he does slide around the second chicane a little bit more. And gear changes here, the guys will be doing 56 gear changes a lap. That's around 1,960 over the race itself. It's a 13 turn circuit, and that's 4.36 kilometres or 2.72 miles. So like I said, very quick circuit. Is Boy Better Know SB there as a brand new driver into the No Assist League. You'll obviously are otherwise known as Scott, so Boy Better Know, welcome to the league. Good to have you on board. We hope to have you in here for a long time. He's joined on the front row provisionally at the moment by Mero, who has done a 113 flat, and Jamie 6328 doing a 114 flat. A Stifler 1980 does a 113.1 to go on to third. What does Chill do as he comes across the line? He does a 114.8, so not the best of laps there for Chill. Some of the guys, they might need to up this pace a little bit if they're looking at 113 flat at the moment. Is a decent lap, but it can definitely be beaten. So yeah, Scott out there currently on his debut in provisional pole, but with like we've got Game of the Best on his outlap in the Sauber. We know this man here can be absolutely dominant on his day. So Game of the Best, after his time out towards the first half of the season, did come back and absolutely dominated in the last race that he was in. So definitely the man to watch tonight, as Nicky 9095, our current championship leader, goes on fourth with a 1:13.7 as Gamer just cruises down as he enters turn 12 and 13 here, whirs it up, ready, launches. He just clipped the outside wall in the Wall of Champions, so don't believe he lost any front wing there, so should be okay. And so we will stay on board with Gamer for this lap, as we welcome back Mike to the league as well after his technical difficulties with his wheel. So it's good to have Mike back in the league. And I believe, yeah, we are missing Craig tonight, so unfortunately Craig's got issues with his wheel as well, so coming at the wrong time, couldn't get it sorted in the week break, which we hope you all enjoyed. A little bit of time away from Formula 1 where you could possibly, you know, spend a little bit of time with your family or play other games as some of the guys have done. It's always nice to have a week off. I myself was kind of bored. I kind of felt something was missing from my life, and that was being in the box tonight with you all, giving you some of the best action in IRL. As Game of the Best comes down the long straight towards the final chicane. Now what he's got to watch is he doesn't want to cut that chicane. You don't want to throw it in too hard, because you will go wide, as he does nicely tick over that chicane, runs down towards the start finish line. What time does he do? He does 1:12.6, so there you go. Benchmark has been well and truly laid down by Game of the Best with a 1:12.680, so 0.4 of a second faster than Scott in second place. So welcome back everyone. Gamer hasn't had any sort of rustiness in that week's break, and he is already on it. Now we'll go down through, we'll see if anyone else is on a lap at the moment, as Joel it's coming to the final chicane. He does, kisses both corners, runs up right onto the rumble strips, comes down the final straight, and he's going to go across the line, and he doesn't set a fast lap there, so he must have somewhere over that 14 flat there to put his Williams on the third row of the grid in 6th place, as it looks like Joel might be going for another lap. Yeah, Joel looks like he's on another lap at the moment on those ultra soft tyres, so the guys have to watch how they don't want to scrub up these tyres too much. I haven't seen the weather reports so far, but it looks like at the moment we've got dry running. And I have just had the weather report in here, and it's going to be a fun one indeed. We are expecting a overcast qualifying, so the guys will have time to qualify on these ultra soft tyres, but we will have a heavy rain start of the race with a light rain in the middle and a dry race towards the end. So you may see 3 different changes of tyre from, well, we'll see if any of the guys decide to start in the inters, or if anyone decides to go for the extreme wets at the start. And do they move? Who moves on to the inters soonest? Who moves on to the dries? We've seen it a lot, especially if you watch the Singapore race with the F1 and I believe it was the F1 league last week, who were catching up after their postponement earlier in the season. They also had a wet race, and it was all about who made the most of the strategic choices when it came to pitting in for the right tyre. And we've seen in the past before, we saw in China that some of the guys, when it came to wet running, kind of made a little bit of slightly off, you'd say, decisions when it comes to the strategic choices. And Chilnillian and Stifler both struggled on tyres that they put on at certain points in the race. Of course, Canada has been a wealth of famous moments over the years. Robert Kubica, of course, took his first ever Formula 1 victory here in 2008, a first victory for a Polish driver in Formula 1. A year after, of course, he had that horrendous accident going into the hairpin in the middle of the lap, as Joel does the fastest lap and does a 1:12.3, so an absolutely electric lap there from Joel in the Force India, beating Gamer's best by 0.3 of a second as Scott goes back on top with a 1:12.2, so the times are starting to fall there. Scott, boy better know, SB a 1:12.2, absolutely electric lap there from Scott himself. As we'll go on board and we'll see if it's Mero, if he is locking it up for a lap at the moment or if he is on his out lap. I can't quite see. It looks like he might be on his fast lap, so we'll just stay with Mero as he comes down into turn 12 and into 13. A little bit slow through, he gets the DRS open a little bit later than usual, crosses the line. Does he improve his time? He doesn't improve his time, so we'll go, as you see that. So one of the it's a positive and a negative here, with the pit lane being right at the end of the straight and then the pit exit being right, feeds right into turn 3, turn 2 and turn 3, is that it's really hard. You race out of that pit exit, but you have to slam on the brakes to get it turned in for the right-hander, and you're also feeding directly into traffic, and it can be directly onto the racing line, so you've got to watch out. You've got to watch in your mirrors to make sure that you're not causing that much of a hindrance to some of the guys coming out of the, or coming around turn 1, turn 2. And equally going into the pit lanes, we've got a yellow in sector 3. May just be a slow car as Tumas and Mike are on fast laps themselves. Haven't set a time yet so far. Mystic Man 22 retires from the session in 7th place as Mike comes down the final straight to cross the line, and he does a 1:13.0, so cracking lap there from Mike to put himself up in 5th place, as Tumas looks like he invalidated that lap, so he's not going to get a chance unless he's got enough fuel on board, which it doesn't look like he does. It looks like Tumas may be starting from the rear of the grid, as we've got a yellow in sector 2. I believe it's a lot of slow moving cars, but as qualifying absolutely flew by there, it's Boy Better Know who's currently on top, and I don't believe anyone else is on a fast lap. You've got Game of the Best there is pointing in the wrong direction coming out of turn 7, it looks like, and it looks like Scott, Boy Better Know, is going to take a debut pole position in the Invictus Racing League no assist race in Montreal. So a 1:12.2 there, so really good lap there from Scott. Joel equally a 12.3 to put it on 2nd place. Game of the Best only starting in 4th place with that 12.6, didn't get enough time to set a 2nd lap, so we'll look to see where's the race pace of these guys, who's got the best pace. As I said before, it's going to be a heavy rain start to the race, moving to light and then moving on to dry at the end of the race, so who's got the best pace in the rain? As of course a rain affected race, we'll go back to, had to get stopped. It goes down as the longest Formula 1 race of all time. I clocked over, I believe it was around 5.5 hours due to the red flag, as the rain came down so heavily that the cars were just aquaplaning off. But of course Jensen, after I believe 2 punctures, colliding with Hamilton into the start finish or wall, into the pit wall, came back and took a last lap overtake on Sebastian Vettel to take the win in the McLaren in what is one of the greatest comeback races of all time. Some of the other times, or some of the other moments here we've had in Montreal over the years, Jean Alesi took his only ever win in Formula 1 in 1995 here. Gilles Villeneuve, the man who's the circuit is named after, it has Salut Gilles written just in front of the start finish line, did almost a lap with a completely broken front wing which was blocking his vision in the Ferrari, so it did very nicely indeed, and that was in the wet. So another a feat of amazement from Gilles Villeneuve. 1997 saw Olivier Panis break both legs in a crash which gave Jarno Trulli exposure. Of course, Jarno Trulli was in the Minardi team at the time, moved up into the Prost team, but unfortunately for Olivier Panis, it was an awful accident he had here in '97, which saw him break both his legs. So we'll go to the qualifying results. There is Scott, Boy Better Know, in the Haas with a 112.2, followed by Joel on the first row of the grid with a 112.3. Mero D2 picks up a cracking third position, seems to be doing very well in qualifying at the moment, as Gamer the Best picks up 4th, Jamie 6328 in 5th, with Mike on his return in 6th, and Stifler in 7th, Mystic Man 22 in 8th, with Nicky 9095 quite far down in 9th, with Chill Nilliand in 10th, Malk in 11th, and Tumas 53 in 12th. Now it's these guys, especially in this rain-affected race, they're going to have to watch out for that wall of champions, which comes on the right-hand side of turn 13 after the last fast chicane. Taken such victims as Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, Michael Schumacher, Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel, but many more have lost out to the unforgiving concrete on the exit of that turn. As you can see, the rain coming down, and it's going to be a very, very interesting start for the guys here. Who makes that brave strategy decision? Who decides what kind of tyre they're on? The race engineers here are going to have a real tactical battle on their hands, so we're in for a real treat today. Now, we have had a week away. The race before that, we saw Gamer the Best take the win by almost 45 seconds. So he absolutely dominated the race. Took the win. Nicky, who actually picked up a very useful second after an early spin, which knocked him down to last in the race. So it was a pretty decent recovery drive there for Nicky, who maintains his lead in the championship to Chill Nilliand, which is currently at 3 points, with Stifler 1980 5 points behind on 40 points. So Nicky on 45, Chill on 42, and Stifler on 40. And it was Craig, unfortunately, who isn't here tonight, is going to be dropping more points. He did retire from the last race as well before we even got to turn 1. Him and Betrayer got caught up after Betrayer lost the car off the start finish line, speared into the wall, collecting Craig on the way. So it's going to be an interesting race. The guys are going to have to be very careful down into turn 1, and it's feathering that brake enough so that you don't run wide. We don't want any opportunity to get any front wing damage, because all the downforce here, especially in the rain, is absolutely crucial, and they cannot afford to be dealing with any sort of downforce issues going into the latter stages of this race. So it's a lot of the setups here, depending on how long we're expecting the race to go for on the wet conditions. The guys have probably still got their cars set up for a dry race, and it's a medium to low downforce circuit, because high top speeds are crucial going down that final or that long straight before 12 and 13. But it can be an absolute killer on the brakes, because it's a lot of fast speed straights down into low speed corners, and quite erratic braking at times to make sure that you slow it down in time. So the cars need to have the right amount of downforce underneath them to suck them to the circuit and make sure they're not spearing off in all different directions. But it's one of the trickiest parts, as I've said before, is turn 12 and 13. So very fast chicane. You can absolutely fly through it if you connect the turn up correctly, but the curbs can be absolutely unforgiving, and they can really ruin your race, and you'll find yourself, if you're just ever so slightly off, bouncing off those curbs, and you will be meeting the wall of champions. As the guys look to be starting the races, Nicky's given the okay, as we've got 18 seconds, of course, no formation lap in the lobby, so we will go straight into the race, as we will see what these guys have got in store, which looks to be shaping up to be an absolutely cracking race. So we'll see here, it's on the 5 lights, and they are off in Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix, and Boy Better Know gets a okay start, but Joel's taking the lead already going into turn 1. But does Boy Better Know come down the inside? They've all just about got it stopped going down. We've got a couple of running wires. Oh, we've a Toro Rosso spearing across the track, and he's collected a couple of others. That looks like it was Mystic Man. It is Mystic Man that's gone wide. Turn the car around. As back up, it is Joel and Boy Better Know, as we've still got a yellow in sector 1. I believe that's probably for Mystic, as Joel leads the field round, as Game of the Best has moved up from 4th to 2nd already, and Scott has dropped from 1st down to 3rd. So not the best start for Scott so far, but Joel leads them heading down towards turn 8 and 9. Does he get it slowed down enough? Just about, just about. You can see him squirming coming out of it. We're in what looks to be the edge of intermediates, as Game of the Best dives down the inside going into the hairpin at Lepingle, and he gets the move done, moves up into the lead. So in less than one lap, Game of the Best has moved up from 4th into 1st, and he's now going to start stretching that lead out, and we'll see what the others can do to come back at him, as the top 3 have got a little bit of a gap at the moment. So all the way, well, Scott down to Merrow, he's got just over a second lead at the moment, as they're going to come across the line, and it's going to be Sauber, Force India and Haas of Gamer, Joel and Scott in Boy Better Know, as Scott just letting Joel know that he's still there. He's not happy about losing that position. Now we'll look at strategy there as we go back down the grid. We'll see that Nicky and Mike both got caught up with Mystic Man, who's managed to carry on, as yeah, Nicky and Mike were the ones that got caught up in that accident. It's Jamie 6328, as we've got a yellow in sector 1. Oh no, that's not a decent one at all. It's Malk and Jamie, by the looks of it, that have got caught up together. Maybe the 2 Williams. So it is the 2 Williams. So Claire Williams on the pit wall will be absolute ahead of our hands. As Boy Better, oh, they're all going wide at turn 8 there. His Boy Better Know ran wide straight over the corner, and Mero D2 followed him across. So the guys, they've got to watch out. Canada is an absolute demon when it comes to track extensions here, that it will punish you highly for cutting those corners and getting it slowed down in time for any of these. Oh, especially as we've got a yellow in sector 2. Oh, it looked like it might be the Sauber again there, and it looked like it might have been Tumas who was struggling. As we'll go back up to the top here, his game has already stretched out a 1.7 seconds lead, as Stifler 1980 picks up a 5-second stop go for exceeding track limits, and Mero picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cuts already. So like I said, the penalties here can be absolutely a real killer, and you've really got to watch your speed around here, and you've got to watch your line through a lot of the corners. So we'll go down, we'll try and see its closest on board is. It looks like the closest at the moment is Boy Better Know and Joel, as the interval between guys, as you can see, yeah, so it is Boy Better Know and Joel, as Mike picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cut warnings. I think you may be in store to see a lot of that flashing up tonight. But going back to what I was saying before, is Jamie 6328 in 8th place currently, who decided on the wet tyre. Now we will see if he comes into the pit lane. You can see the 2 Williams had collected each other. Have one of them picked up front wind damage that requires him to come in? Does he move on to the intermediates? Because it does look like there is a drying line forming. Offline, it can definitely be run on the extreme wets, but with light rain kind of forecast towards the middle of the race, it looks like the intermediates might just about do, as we've got a yellow in sector 2. Oh, and it looks like it's Mike. It is Mike in the Ferrari, who's lost it coming out of what looks like turn 4. Maybe was it turn 7? It was turn 7. It was turn 7. Oh, is he struggling to get the car stopped again? So Mike not enjoying this time, as we go back up on board with Boy Better Know, who's following the back of Joel here. Still doing quite nicely, Scott, who on his first start in Invictus, no assist, staying on the back of the Force India in the Haas car. So nice showing so far. These guys have already stretched out a 4-second lead to Stifler 1980 in 4th place. So looks like we might have a 3-way battle for the win. Of course, it's all about if these two here, of Joel and Scott, boy better know himself, can stick with the man in, well, the who seemingly just can drive these circuits in his sleep, and that is Game of the Best 262 up, who is leading currently by 2.3 seconds, as Mike picked up another penalty there. Yes, we've got a move down in 9th and 10th between Mystic Man and Nicky, it looked like, or was it Mystic Man and Malk? Because we've got a little bit of a train forming at the back here, with a couple of cars starting to group up. As you can see, guys are getting very twitchy coming out the hairpin there, so try not to get the power down on, or get the power on too early, as we'll go back up. We don't want to miss Scott chasing down Joel's Force India. Now it's all about these guys here, it's all about consistency, as Nicky 9095 picks up a 5-second stop-go penalty for exceeding track limits. Now these guys probably will be able to serve these penalties in their stops. We probably will be seeing at least one, if not two stops at least for these guys, as Jamie 6328 does come in and moves on to the intermediate tyres from the extreme wet, so decides that it's inters that are probably going to fare him better with the conditions that he's in currently. And it's Scott here who's just about keeping on the back of Joel here. Yeah, so like I was saying, it's all about consistency. These guys up the front, they don't want to be picking up unnecessary penalties for corner cuts or speeding in the pit lane or anything like that. It's all about keeping it clean, keeping it on the circuit, and these two here, it's just following each other's line. For Scott, he doesn't want to get caught in that dirty air of the car in front. As Game of the Best sets another fastest lap, he's been getting quicker and quicker. It's a 1:24.9, so he's dipped under the 1:25s there, and with a 3.2 second lead, as Scott gets right up to the back of Joel, gives him a love tap, lets him know he's there, puts the power on really early coming out of turn 2, and there's Joel there, goes wide, and he's run it straight into the wall on the outside of turn 4. And has he picked up time wing damage there, as Malk picks up a 3-second time penalty? I'm just trying to see, he may have lost it. It does look like he's lost an end plate, as we've got a yellow in sector 2, and it's Mike again, who's really not enjoying these conditions. And yeah, so boy better know is now gonna, have they already lapped Mike, so already on lap 6 Mike is a lap down, so not the best start to the Grand Prix and not the best return to Invictus. No assist for Mike SI. So we see here, does Joel come into the pits at the end of this lap? Has got that front wing damage from hitting the wall at the exit of turn 4. He doesn't, he stays out of. Boy better know picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Joel follows him across the chicane, unfortunately picking up the same penalty. So that's the problem that you have, some of the guys will have here, is that you follow the guy's line in front of you, and Scott running wide over the curb picks up the penalty. Joel followed his line and picked up exactly the same penalty. So we'll go down and follow some of the guys further down the grid, as Nicky 9095, our championship leader, down in 9th place, as Mystic picks up he's hit the wall of champions. He has hit the wall of champions, and that's Mystic Man 22 out of the Canadian Grand Prix in Invictus. It's going to be absolutely gutted with that. And Mystic, after picking up a great result in his debut for the No Assist race in Italy, he hasn't had the best of runs so far, and he finds himself burying that Toro Rosso into the Wall of Champions, and he is the first retirement from the Canadian Grand Prix. And commiserations go to Mystic, because we can see how tricky the conditions are out there, and just a little bit too much over turn 12, and it just unsettled the car going into 13, and he put it into that wall, and luckily the tyre tethers did their job and kept the tyre from flicking up over onto the driver. There's room on board here with Malcolm's Game of the Best. That's another fastest lap with 124.6. So It looks like Gamer is just going to start controlling this race from the front. It's already got a lead of 5.7 seconds to Boy Better No in second place. So we'll go on board here with Chill Nyland. So Chill currently second in the championship to Nicky, but one place ahead of him with quite a bit of a gap at the moment. So with an 11-second gap, so we'll be making up some points on him. And it's all about, well, for these guys here, whilst the rain is still coming down, it's all about staying on track, not doing what Mystic did, not having it of turn 4. These guys need to make sure they get through this wet period into the dry running. Let's chill here, just following Tumas 53 in 6th place, and Tumas has done nicely to recover after that early mishap. Didn't manage to set a time in qualifying, so moving up to 6th place, has done quite nicely for himself there. He's being followed by Chill in the McLaren. Of course, during this wet running there won't be any DRS activated until the times have dipped below the time regulated that it's dry enough for the dry compound tyres to be used. So drivers here will just be using skill and speed to catch up to each other. There'll be no synthetic help with the use of any sort of electrics or aerodynamic advantages. We'll go on board here. We'll move up to Mero D2, who's currently running just over a second and a half behind Stifler 1980. As Mystic leaves the session, I can imagine he's absolutely livid with himself there, losing it so early into the races. Mero goes a little bit deep into turn 6 there, sorry, and loses a little bit of time there. Lost about 0.7 of a second to Stifler, as he's always going to really struggle coming around. As he does, Mero's really dropping back here, so he's already lost 2 seconds to Stifler on this lap. So he's done really well to catch up to the back of Stifler, but a couple of mistakes, getting a little bit, as you see there, getting right sideways coming out of the hairpin at turn 10, as Scott picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now with Joel currently only on 1 with the 3 seconds, that does allow Joel to get back within 2 seconds of Boy Better No, as Mero D2 picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So it's all about who can pick up the least. I think you'll see a lot of trips to the stewards after the race for track extensions, and the stewards reminding them not to push too hard because they will be punished for it. So we look up and down the grid here. We'll go on board here with Malk, who's down at the final chicane, coming out turn 13, hits a straight, and he's being followed by Jamie 6328 in the Sister Renault. As the two Sister Williams, sorry, as Mike comes out of the pit lane. So as you can see, yeah, so as I was saying before, that pit lane feeds right into that racing line there, so it's all like really got to watch out when you're coming out of that pit lane, that you're not interrupting the flow of traffic as the guy's coming round, and equally if you're coming round turn 1 and going into turn 2, that you're not flying round to the outside, because you'll find yourself collecting a car that's innocently coming out the pit lane. This game, but once again, 124.6, so even though some of these guys will be wearing down those intermediates and starting to lose grip, Gamer, as always, as he does best, just extending that lead. As you see Malk running out wide there, was lucky not to collect the wall on the outside of turn 9 there, so he does run down towards Epingle, or Lepingle. That's turn 10, the hairpin. Now he's going to go on to the casino straight here. He does, as Joel picks up a 3-second time penalty, so that voids the penalty that Scott picked up on the last lap. So both of them now on the 6 seconds time penalties, as Stifler 1980 picks up 3 seconds himself. So yeah, the stewards have definitely got their work cut out for them today. Oh, Malk really struggling coming out of that turn there, as they both lap Mike, who gets out of the way in the Ferrari. So we'll go back on board as Mero, who's caught right up the back of Stifler again. So Stifler must have made a mistake there. It's allowed Mero, who was 3 seconds behind. He's cruised right up the back. He's now 0.7 of a second as they go down into turn 10 at the hairpin. And depending on who gets the nicer drive out this, the Red Bull might get a cruise of drag coming down the straight here. Doesn't look like he's close enough to make a move going into turn 12. And you do have to be very brave if you want to make a move into turn 12. You have to really trust your fellow driver to not turn in on you, because you will find both of you exiting the race a lot more prematurely than you expected. As Tumas 53 pits from 6th position. He's the first one to... Oh, as Mero looks like he might just about keep it in a straight line. He does. Look at the rear end of that Red Bull, not wanting to do what Mero's doing at all. He's putting that power down. Those rear wheels are saying, I'm going to go this way, and his front wheels are going, absolutely not, we're going the other direction. Looks like Tumas may have put on a second set of the intermediate tyres, so another round of intermediates here for the guys. We'll see how long can they stretch out these intermediates. Are they going to start to come in? As Mero's starting to struggle once again. Seems to struggle in the dirty air behind Stifler, so catches up to the back if Stifler makes a mistake, but then really seems to struggle when he's following the back of him. So Mero there, you can see the Red Bull just all over the place when it's coming out the corners. It just seems to be getting on the power just a fraction of a second too early, and it can really upset the balance of the car. So these guys are going to make sure if they are doing that, the setups of these cars have got to be absolutely on point, because if not, as you've seen so far, you'll find yourself either pointing in the wrong direction or losing some vital parts of your car. Mero has closed up a little bit onto the back of Stifler, so he's 0.4 of a second behind at the moment. Now how does he attack this chicane with Stifler just ahead here? Both cars quite tentative as Mero is going to just clip the wall there. So as I was just saying, it's all about keeping on the circuit. That's 2 laps in a row that coming out of turn 4 that he's kind of got the car all over the place and just doesn't want to put the power down in the right places, and it looks like he may have just got away with it. Doesn't look like he's picked up any damage, so yeah, lucky escape there for Mero D2 in 5th position. And we'll stay on board with him at the moment. It is the closest battle on track. The guys are very split up at the moment, and I think you'll find during the wet racing that a lot of these guys here, as Scott, boy better know, sets a 1:24.4, so he's not giving up this race to Gamer, who's actually lost a bit of time there. Gamer was starting to race away with it with a 7-second lead, but it's now dropped to 5, so Gamer may have made a mistake somewhere in the last 2 laps, and that's allowed Scott to drop the advantage down to 5.2 seconds as Mero looks to go around the outside of Stifler. That's going to be a pretty tricky move. Does he get it turned up the inside? He gets the power down early. Now who goes into turn 3 the bravest? Oh, it's going to be close, and it's just Stifler that maintains the position. So cracking defending there from Stifler 1980 to keep Mero D2 behind. But Mero's going to go for a lunge into turn 6. He doesn't get it done. And Stifler here is Jamie 6328 picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, most likely corner cuts, as we'll see a lot throughout the races. Mero really starting to hound the back of Stifler's car now. Now does Stifler just about makes the turn there at turn 9? Does Stifler decide to pit in and put on a fresh set of inters? Does he think, right, I'm not going to battle with you. If we battle, we're going to lose too much time. I'll just let you go past. You can have another lap on some old inters. I'm going to do have a pit in, put some fresh inters on, and just kind of blitz an outlap and try and jump you. So we see here, we come down the straight, and it's Mero following the back of the Haas. And does anyone come in? No, they stay out, decide to do another lap. So They're going to go on to lap 15. Still line astern here, Mero D2 and Stifler 1980, with Mero in the Red Bull and Stifler in the Haas. Stifler, after not having the best of times in China the week before the season break, before that had a couple of decent results on the podium in Silverstone and in Italy. So a couple of decent results for Stifler there, but he seems to have been struggling. It doesn't seem to like the wet conditions. Just hasn't got the same pace as he does in the dry. This will stay with these guys here. Mero's still hassling the back of the Haas, and these guys are doing quite nicely at the moment to not pick up any further penalties, keep it within the two white lines on either side of the track. So you can see the wishbone there, the suspension working quite nicely as the you can hear on board there with Mero that he's just feathering that throttle to make sure that he doesn't get anything wrong, as we'll go on board with Mero following the back of Stifler. As you can see, cuts the corner at turn 12 a little bit there, so quite lucky to get away with that one. And we'll do a lap on board with Mero D2 following the back of Stifler 1918, and you get to see if he is being affected by the dirty airs. You get to see just how much he's having to fight the wheel to keep that Red Bull in a straight line. Now it's coming out of turn 4 as he's had trouble with a couple of times, as you can see there. Yeah, just a little bit of a kick, not as much as usual. Coming into turn 6 here, he's run a little bit deep into the corner. It's going to put him offline for turn 7, so Stifler's going to get a nicer run. As you can see, Stifler starts to stretch out a little bit of a lead there, so that's moved the lead up to just under 0.8 of a second, so just got now 0.8 of a second. Now he gets it slowed down in turn 8 and turn 9. It's now the run down to turn 10 at the hairpin in front of all of the wonderful Canadian fans who are braving out in the rain. He goes a little bit deep, doesn't quite make the apex, and then drifts out of the exit. And it's a slight curve onto the casino straight up towards turn 12. So it's the Red Bull, which is quite a handy car around here. It's not too bad. As you can see there, he almost took his foot off the accelerator completely when entering the chicane, and was starting to really kind of coast into that corner. And it is Malk, as you can see, down in 10th position, who's decided to be the bravest one and move on to the soft tyre. I'd probably say maybe 2 or 3 laps too early. Doesn't quite look the conditions for the soft tyre at the moment, and even if the tyres were ready, and he's going to have to get out of the way, and he just about does for the guys ahead. So it's the soft tyre that he's put on, which has got a lower temperature order. He's going to really struggle to keep it on a straight line here, Malk. The car not wanting to do anything on those tyres. They've got no grip. He's going to completely lose control going into turn 8. Runs over the line, and he's going to turn around. Just about gets it stopped before hitting the wall on the exit of turn 9. And I think Malk's going to come to that realisation that it definitely was not time to put those soft tyres on. Now, does anyone see what Malk's done around him and get spooked into thinking that it is time for dries? Or will they see that it just can't get the power down? He's just struggling. You can see there, he wants to put the power down. He wants to just put a little bit of extra, like 1 millimetre extra throttle on. And it's just not enjoying it whatsoever. Does he brave it out, or does he come back in? He braves it out. He's made that decision, but he's hit the rear right into the wall of champions. That's really going to mess up your rear suspension there, and Malk's really struggling there. As you can see, the car starting to slightly crab as it goes into the first corner. Now, what Malk's got to watch out for here is that the guys that are still on the inters that are out there, he's now a danger for them because he's going to be doing this. He's going to be turning it around as Mike picks up a 3-second time penalty as Malk just about gets out of the way of the McLaren. And yeah, it's unfortunately Stifler picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now, we did see Malk earlier in the season in Brazil quite brilliantly staying out in full wet conditions on intermediate tyres, and he was having the same sort of scenario where he just couldn't get any sort of grip, but it meant that he was a pit stop ahead of the other guys. But when it comes from intermediates to extreme wets is one thing, but as you can see, intermediate conditions to dries is another. Those tyres are not built to be driven on a wet surface. They will just aquaplane into the nearest wall possible. They will not want to go around to any of these corners, and certainly they will not want to touch any of those slippery red and white painted curbs. They will stay with Malk and just see if the dry line is starting to appear. There is a slightly lighter grey line appearing, but does look slightly deceiving. It's not quite dry just yet. We'll go back up to the top as Game of the Best has stretched his lead back out to just under 10 seconds. So after that little mishap earlier in about 3 or 4 laps ago where the lead got down to 5 seconds between him and Boy Better Know in second place, Gamer stretches it back out to 10 seconds, so quite comfortable at the moment for Gamer. Staying out there on those intermediate tyres. It looks like the guy's going to try and stay out there as long as possible to stretch these until it gets to dry. So it would be interesting to see the tyre degradate, or a tyre deg on most of these cars. It looks like they might be pretty high because it's still not quite ready for dry. So the tyre wear is going to be pretty high on these inters, as we see a spinning Malk though just in front of the race leader. As Malk, has he got it? He's still got it in gear. He doesn't want to make sure, he doesn't want to pull out just yet. Luckily he doesn't get in the way of Scott, but yeah, it looks like Malk's going to be coming in for a new rear front wing at the end of this lap. Lost it coming out of turn 4, got the power on too early. As Stifler 1980 makes a stop. Now, what does Stifler do? He moves onto the super soft tyres. So Stifler making a decision as well to go onto the and a front wing change for Stifler. So Stifler, the next one to make the decision to come in onto the dry tyres. Now, does he make that same decision? Now, as you can see, look, he's already struggling coming out. Now he's going to have to get this car stopped. It's a fast run down into the corner. He's going to have to get it stopped going into turn 2. You can hear there, a car in front, and that's the McLaren of Chill Nilliant on old intermediate tyres. Also seemed to struggle, but Stifler cannot push too hard. He can't overwork these tyres before they're ready. He's got to look after them. He doesn't want to spin them up too much. The temperature of the circuit will keep the tyre temperatures down a little bit, but if he's spinning them up, exiting pretty much every single corner as he was coming out the pit lane where he was bouncing off the limiter, as Scott picks up a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, he's got to watch out. As you can see, they're locked up for about 20 metres before the hairpin. So yeah, and struggling to get the power down as Joel picks up another time penalty. So Joel and Scott just about trading time penalties at the moment. As Chill pits in from 7th place, so that's going to allow Stifler back up into 7th place on those super soft tyres. Does Chill go for a set of dry tyres? And he does. He goes for the super softs as well. So the guys look like they're going to start braving it out on the slippery surface on dry tyres. With 14 laps left to go though, a set of super softs, it should just about get you to the end depending on how they look after these tyres in the first few laps. As Boy Better Know in second is the first one of the top runners to pit in. Now, does he move on to the supers or does he move on to the softs and be a little bit more conservative with his tyre wear? It looks like it's a Red Bull super softs ready for him, and it is. That's a nice stop there for the Haas team, who release him. So Joel briefly is going to take second place back off of Scott. Now, does he get it slowed down in time for turn 2? Yes, quite nicely. So yeah, nice exit there for Scott. It does seem like the circuit is starting to evolve a little bit. You can see that dry line forming, that light grey line. As back down at the bottom, it's Malk who's going to have pitted in for that new front wing after that spin that almost collected the race leader, and Mike SI, who is also fitting a new wing and accepts the soft compound. So Mike, thinking that the tyre wear might be a little bit high on super soft, is going a little bit more conservative. And unfortunately, Mike is going to be looking for someone else to, or as we see Malk coming out the pit lane, losing it going into, as he doesn't have any front wing damage, you can see, but Malk, having made that mistake on the soft tyres, having to come in for the new wing, he's pitted back onto super softs, immediately spun. So as Game of the Best comes in out of the lead and puts on the ultra soft tyres, so Game of the Best looking for 12 laps on the ultra soft tyres. He's gonna quite easily make a free pit stop, but Game of the Best, he's gonna have to make sure he follows these dry lines almost like a train on its tracks. We've got a yellow in sector 2 and 3. It's going to be Malk again, who's struggling in 11th place. And it's actually allowed Mike up into the points. So Mike, who looked like he'd been really struggling and was well down the order, is actually on the same lap as Malk, and both of those two will be finding it out over the solitary point to be picked up for 10th position. As Nicky 9095 exits the pits after the McLarens put on a set of the Red Bull Super Softs for him. So we've still got a couple of guys out there on the intermediate tyres that they started on. So DRS has now been enabled, so the stewards have decided that it is quick enough for DRS to be enabled. That means intermediates will not be the optimal tyre to be on. As you can see, Mero's struggling now on the inters. He's going to have to try and run offline to get a little bit of moisture onto those tyres to make them work, because the dry line, they're just going to scuff up, they're just going to slide around and heat up. Now he has to surely dive in at the end of this lap, and he does. So Mero D2, he would have seen the message from the steward saying that it was time for DRS to be enabled. So we've got a yellow in sector 2, and it's Jamie 6328 who's lost it on those intermediate tyres as well. It looks like coming out of turn 9, heading down towards the hairpin at turn 10. So these two with it looks like, yeah, so moving on to the dry tyres now, it's Tumas is deciding to come in off the intermediates, and Jamie's going to have to come in at the end of this lap as well. So Tumas here, all the way down to the end of the pit lane, pits onto the super soft tyres, so 11 laps off of that super soft. So it's the top, 3 of the top 4 have decided to go for the ultra soft tyres, so we'll have to look after these tyres, because they will last to the end if you take care of them. We do see that tyre wear can be anywhere from 60% upwards, can be puncture territory, so the guys need to make sure they don't overdo it on these first few laps and look after these tyres a little bit. As Game of the Best, I think you'll see that the time starting to fall dramatically. He's the first one to go into the 122.5 for the fastest lap at the moment, but the drier this track gets, I think you'll see that time can come down quite considerably. As Jamie picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cuts. And we'll go back down to Tumas 53, who's following the back of Sifler 1980. He's 2.6 seconds down at the moment. He's got Nicky 9095 for company 2 seconds behind him, who's actually managed to jump Chill. So it's now Nicky in 7th and Chill 13 seconds behind him in 8th. So Chill must have made a mistake somewhere on, or must either have made the mistake or had a slightly longer stop due to potentially a stop-go penalty. So that means that Nicky will pick up points on Chill, but with Stifler two positions ahead of him, the championship, and with other big players in the championship picking up points. So Joel currently in third place. He's only 11 points behind Nicky at the moment. So Joel will be picking up decent points. Game of the Best, will, by the looks of it, will be picking up another 12 points, which will add to his tally, and that will move him up to 34 points. So that will move him well up into the top 5 with the 5 races left to go in the season. So if Game of the Best can manage to make the last 5 races, I think that if it's anything like what he's been showing over the last 2, these guys here need to make sure that they are absolutely on it, because the Sauber driver of Game of the Best 262 might absolutely dominate the rest of this season. As we go back down, it's Mike who pits in again for the ultra soft tyres. So it's Mike and Malk for trading off for that last position in the points, and Malk struggling. Is not gonna. Mike's already up to speed on the ultra softs as Malk goes deep into turn 2. So Malk really not enjoying the Williams today. Stifler 1980 picks up a 3-second time penalty, and I believe set the fastest lap at the same time, so potentially may have cut the corner at the last chicane. As the closest back on track we've got is Nicky 9095, who is currently 0.8 of a second behind Tumas 53. So Nicky looking to pick up some positions. Doesn't seem to enjoy the wet conditions, but as you see the lap times falling, as Game of the Best with a 1:19.6, Jamie with a 1:19.5. All the drivers here now on the dry tyre, split between the ultra soft and the super soft. So I think we're almost an equal spread here between the 11 drivers. It's all about, especially the guys on the ultra softs, managing that purple walled tyre to the end of the race. It's Mera D2 now with a 1:19.4. Game of the Best picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warning. So I believe that's the first mistake that Game has made in the race at the moment, or the first corner cut that he may have picked up in the race. So showing that he is a human ever so slightly. So little glimmer of hope as Mera D2 picks up a 3-second time penalty there. You saw he cut turn 12 ever so slightly there, and all those corner cuts do rack up, and the stewards at the end of, after you get 3 warnings, and after that third one they say, you know what, Sam, you've done it. We've told you once, we've told you twice. Here's at 3 seconds to add to your tally. And when you're following, as Nicky's following Tumas, as he is, it's all about not picking up the penalties, because you don't want to be. He's currently within 1.4 seconds, so keep those penalties to a minimum, and he could easily jump up ahead of Tumas himself. It's currently the closest battle we have on circuit at the moment. That's Nicky 9095 in the McLaren, as Joel does a 1:18.6, Mera does a 1:18.5. So the track really starting to evolve now and dry out. Times will start to fall. Look to see some of the faster drivers kind of drop into the 1:17s, perhaps even the 1:16s, depending on the tyre wearers. Tumas does 1:18.1 there. So yeah, so the times now starting to really come down towards the 1:17, 1:16 level. It's Tumas, or Stifler, Tumas 53 and Nicky 9095, all split by just about 4 seconds, or 3.5, 4 seconds here, as Jamie does a 1:17.1. So absolute blitz of a lap there from Jamie, who's looking to get into the 1:16 sooner rather than later. And Tumas is now into DRS range of Stifler, as he does pick up. You saw there he did cut the corner going into turn 8, picks up that penalty, but he is going to be within DRS detection of the back of Stifler 1980 going onto the casino straight. There's still a couple of droplets of rain falling on the camera, but I don't think it's going to bother drivers at the moment. The DRS flap is going to open on that Sauber, and he's going to chase the chase the gearbox that has down, brake nicely into turn 12 and 13. He gets a slightly better run out of it than Stifler did. Stifler is going to cruise up as Tumas, yeah, as he did 116.9, so the first driver to drop into the 116s by 0.02 per second is Tumas 5.3. And he's starting to really put the pressure on the back of Stifler 1980. So with 6 laps left to go, we'll see what Stifler's got as Malk picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So a bad day at the office compounded as Game of the Best as a 116.2, so beats Tumas's time by 0.7 of a second there on the ultra soft tyres. So Game of the Best absolutely blitzing that fastest lap. And do we see the guys move into the 115s? Well, even by next lap. And it's up at the top there. Game of the Best 262 in the Sauber leads from Boy Better Know. That's Scott by 12.7 seconds as Scott picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. So he's then got a 20-second gap behind him to Joel in the Force India, with Meridi 2 in the Red Bull in 4th place. Stifler 1980 you can see just up the road ahead of us as we're on board with Tumas 5.3. Stifler in the Haas, Tumas in the Sauber, with Nicky 9095 in the McLaren sitting 1.7 seconds behind us. It's Jamie 6328 in the Williams, who's just jumped ahead of Chill as they battle down. So Jamie looked like he got the move done going up the casino straight as Gamer does 1:15.5. So another absolutely cracking there from Gamer to really get this fastest lap down as far down as possible, as Jamie starting to pick up places now in the Williams. Chill seems to have, it was doing quite well as Gamer picks up another 3-second time penalty, the same as Stifler. So Stifler does not want to be picking up those penalties, especially not with Nicky and Tumas sitting right behind him. But Chill seemed to be doing quite nicely in the wet conditions, but in the dry he's falling back as Joel does a 1:14.7, so into the 14s for the first time in this race in the Sahara Force India. Now Chill is going to get DRS as the DRS detection line is was just behind us just there, and we cross the second detection line there. Now he's going to get DRS, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to affect it, as Jamie seems to have a much better aero package in that Williams compared to the McLaren, which just doesn't have any power on the straights. That Honda engine just does not want to follow the rear end of that Williams at all. So if Chill is going to make up the position back on Jamie, it's going to have to be Jamie making a mistake into the corner and Chill capitalising on it. This Malk picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now he is battling with the back of Mike, so the battle for the points is on as Mike goes deep into turn 10 at the hairpin. As they now travel up the casino straight, and it's the Williams. It's going to get the power down a bit earlier than the Ferrari, but the Ferrari is going to have the advantage going down a straight. Of course, these guys using realistic performance. So Mike in the Ferrari is going to have more pace going in, but he goes very, very slow into the hairpin, so into the chicane. So that allows Malk to cruise up to the back of him with DRS as well. He's going to get a nice run going into turn 1, but he doesn't want to lunge up too early. Or you can see they had to make the correction going into turn 1. Didn't want anything to go wrong, didn't want to cut the corner. He knows right now that both of them have been struggling on penalties, but he doesn't want to pick up any other stupid corner cuts if he can help it. Stifler 1980 picks up another 3-second time penalty as Malk just about, he got a real tank slapper coming out of turn 4 there and just about kept it in a straight line. So unfortunately for Malk, that's really cost him, and he allows Stifler and Tumas and Nicky, I imagine he does, to come past us. Unfortunately Malk drops down well behind Mike now, who's 7 seconds up, so just one fraction of a second of a mistake and ruins Malk's chance of jumping up and getting that final championship point. So we'll go here. As you can see, currently the fastest lap of the race is a 114.6. That's game of the best with no, sorry, a 114.4 from Joel with 114.6 for Gamer. So all the drivers just about the top 7 all within the 115s. Jamie with a good 114.8. It's Chill, who really seems to be struggling in 9th position, so very surprising there from Chill. As Gamer sets a new fastest lap as we're talking about it, with 114.3 is once again Mount starting to get a real twitch on coming out of turn 4. He's going to be really disappointed that he's lost all of that time to Mike. And especially that he's made 3 pit stops, but Mike, who's in a points paying position, has made 5 pit stops. So credit to Mike that he's persevered through this race. They must be borrowing tyres from up and down the grid, and he's going to have a mismatch. He's probably going to have an F2 tyre on the right front and an F3 tyre on the right rear, and it's definitely been working overtime for that Ferrari pit crew. There is Mount with three pit stops so far, and then 9th through 6th have all had 2 with they set on an extra set of dry tyres and an extra set of intermediates, and the guys up the top have managed to do this in a one-stop race, so credit to the guys that have managed to stretch those intermediates out over the one stop. We'll go up back on board with Tumas 5-3 here as Nicky picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. These penalties are really going to come back to bite these guys at the end of the race. Now we are on the final lap of the race, so we will go on board with Game of the Best, who started his final lap of the race. He's come out of turn 5 and 6 here, and it's been pretty much elementary for him. Made a bit of a scruffy qualifying lap, only qualified 4th, but made it up. By the end of the first lap he was already leading, and then has pretty much dictated from the front, has driven as usual an absolutely stellar race, and it's going to be Game of the Best, who, unless the commentator's curse prevails, as you can see him there weaving down the casino straight, doesn't want to celebrate too early. We've seen things happen before, such as J.R. Hildebrand in the Indy 500 hitting the wall in the final corner. As he doesn't, he does stay on board, coasts across the line in the Sauber with the donut, and Game of the Best picks up the victory in Canada by, it's going to be an absolute huge margin to, boy better know, that's Scott, who on his debut picks up a wonderful 2nd position. So absolutely huge congratulations go out to the Haas team there. In boy better knows, Joel just about hits a perfect line through that chicane, and he's going to come across the line and finish 3rd on the podium. And Mero D2 is going to pick up some decent points here in 4th place. If he does cross the line, he does. So Mero D2 there crosses the line to pick up 4th place. And Stifler 1980. Now this is going to be interesting here, because Stifler, Tumas and Nicky have all, as you can see, Stifler's really struggling. He wants to. He knows that he's got a lot of penalties. He's going to want to stay as ahead of as possible. Stifler, where's he going to drop? He drops behind Tumas and behind Nicky. So Stifler is going to rue those penalties once again. Stifler 1980 struggled with penalties, and it's cost him. He drops from 5th to 7th, and that is your race classifications all complete and final position. So it's Game of the Best who picks up the victory. In quite easy fashion for him, even though it was quite difficult conditions, as the Sauber driver takes the top step on the podium with the Haas in 2nd and a Force India in 3rd. So absolutely cracking race once again from Game of the Best, and showed how it was done. As you can see, the finishing results there is game of the best with 6 seconds of penalties, but he takes the lead, takes the win from Boy Better Know. That's Scott in second place on his debut, Joel V520 in third, with Mero D2 in fourth, Tumas 53 in fifth, Nicky in sixth, Stifler in seventh, Jamie in eighth, Chilnillian in ninth. Mike picks up that final championship point in 10th, with Malk in 11th, and we lost Mystic Man 22 into the Wall of Champions on lap 6. As you can see, a lot of penalties there for some guys. Stifler 1980 picks up 23 seconds of penalties, so not a lot that he could. Well, 29 seconds for Mike as well, so a lot of penalties there to be dished out. So the guys will really have to watch out when it comes to some of the other formula in the race. They might watch this race and realise, well, I might have to change my approach to that race, or I don't want to be cussing, especially if we get the same conditions. We've seen that rain can affect this race here. They don't want to pick up any more positions, because you will or any more penalties. You will find yourself in trouble with the league stewards and the league admins afterwards. But it was, in reflection of that race, it was pretty much gamer from start to finish, wasn't it? So not much the guys could do about it. It was all about the battle for second, and it was Boy Better Know on his debut that picks up second place. So a credit there to the Hash driver on his debut. Pretty nicely driven there. He was having quite a nice battle with Joel. Unfortunately, Joel clipped the wall on the exit of turn 4 earlier into the race, and that allowed Boy Better Know through, and Joel, who then just cruised into third place, and it was pretty much unchallenged from Mero behind him. Of course, this isn't our only race of the week. We do have our Performance League tomorrow night, so please join us on Twitch once again tomorrow night for the Performance League. Some of the best racing you'll find online on Formula 1 esports on Twitch. And that will be with me, myself. I will be joining Malk in the commentary box, taking over from Craig for the week for the race tomorrow night. So join me tomorrow night for that, which seems shaping up to be an absolutely dream race. Some of the guys here are really looking forward to that one. And then, of course, on Wednesday we have our F1, F2 and F3 leagues. So if you have time, certainly have a view over some of those leagues, because they are, you can't say anything more than absolutely fantastic. They are so much fun to watch, so much fun to drive in. Of course, I'm in F3 and it is absolute blast. You'll see some cracking overtaking from first and second all the way down to 19th and 20th. Some absolutely heroic drives from some guys out there. So we've got that will be on. In fact, that will be on Thursday night. So that was on Thursday, of course. It's coming home on Wednesday, so we won't be racing on Wednesday. It will be on Thursday night. So make sure you catch F1, F2, and F3 on Thursday night on Twitch. Make sure you keep up to date with all of the announcements about that on our Twitter. That's in Invictus RL on Twitter. That will give you all the announcements about where we will be hosting the leagues and what dates. And of course, if you'd like to hit the support button or hit the store button, go on and get some Invictus branded stuff. Make sure you're all decked out, ready for the F1 2018 game that's now open for registrations. If you are interested in joining a league for the 2018 game, feel free to put your registration down for that on the forums, on the website, and the admins will get in touch with you as soon as possible, and we will get you involved in this wonderful, wonderful league. But for me tonight, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting here in the box with you and watching what was a pretty decent race. Nothing there to complain about. The guys all did really well to stay on track with the conditions being as they were. Unfortunately, we lost Mystic to the dreaded Wall of Champions, but the guys were absolutely on the limit tonight, and all credit goes to them, especially of the drivers using no assists. So you can't imagine how tricky it is going around some of those corners as they did. But as always, it's been a pleasure. I will see you next week, and good night.